Commence primary ignition.
Welcome to the Reforming Nerddom Star Wars Skeleton Crew After Show with your hosts, Jordan and Ben.
We'll make a partnership.
Whoa, where'd you two find an Old Republic credit?
A crew of murderous pirates is coming.
Be warned of booby traps.
All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the Reforming Nerddom Star Wars Skeleton Crew After Show. We are looking today at episode 60, Friends Again. Happy New Year, Jordan. How are you?
I am well. Better now that I get to talk about some Star Wars.
Wonderful. Did you catch the episode New Year's Eve?
What's that?
Did you catch the episode New Year's Eve?
I did. Yep. Oh yeah. We had people over. Thankfully, they did not stay late, and I stayed up late and watched it and made notes. And then yeah, I was very excited about it.
Right on. Yeah, I was looking forward to this one. I think I was not disappointed. We'll get into a lot of the details, obviously, here in a second. But yeah, really quick, we got a runtime this week of a little under 28 minutes. So on the shorter end of episodes, that's excluding credits, of course. This one directed by Bryce Dallas Howard and written by the same as last week's episode 5, Myung Joe Wessner. So a couple decent episodes by Miss Wessner, which I'm happy about. I'm going to give us a quick plot summary before we hear a word from our sponsors and get into the meat of the show here. So episode 6, Zero Friends Again. We saw Jod and SM-33 get captured by Brutus's crew, and they take them back to the sort of space station that they have, to where Brutus is, and Jod goes on trial and is found guilty by Brutus and is to be executed via being sent out the airlock, which is like the space pirate version of walking the plank, I guess. But Jod manages to talk his way out of an execution in exchange for sharing the location of At-Aten. And then while this is going on, the children, after they sort of pull the hatch or the lever there on the hatch and escape from Jod in Rened's lair, they end up in this giant garbage dump area, kind of at the bottom of this planet. And KB, luckily, reveals that she has memorized At-Aten's coordinates, or is like it's trapped in her cybernetic brain or whatever there somehow. And then they have this argument, and the kids split up, and Fern and Neil head off to try and get to the Onyx Cinder by climbing this mountain. And Wim and KB follow this group of trash crabs, I guess. Right. And midway kind of journey, KB's cybernetics go all crazy from the corrosion from the mud baths that they were in the episode before, and Wim has to do some fancy fixing, which luckily they are able to accomplish. And then Fern and Neil do eventually get up to the Onyx Cinder just as it's being carried away by these other ships that are taking it to the garbage dump area, but they're able to kind of jump up on top. And luckily are able to save KB and Wim, who are about to be eaten by this giant crab. And then we have all of the kids back on the ship, each kind of taking their own role in getting the ship operational and ready to go. And they're being kind of chomped and eaten by this big garbage machine that's swallowing up the ship. And they push the button that they're never supposed to push, and which reveals that there's actually a really way cooler version of the Onyx Cinder hidden inside of the Onyx Cinder, and they launch off into space and to credits we go. So, yeah, pretty cool episode. But before we get into some of our questions and positives, negatives, Easter eggs, etc., let's hear a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever opened your internet browser in search of quality Christian books, only to find yourself wading through page after page of Joel Osteen books, Nerf guns, and tacky wall art? Thousand Generations Print Company is here to save the day. With a unique, family-owned approach, quick 24-hour processing, a commitment to providing heretic-free literature, and real human customer service, they focus on offering books that not only enlighten, but align with Orthodox Christian teachings. And, being conveniently located in Southern Ontario, there's no more need to sell your left kidney to pay for shipping within Canada. Visit at actuallychristianbooks.com. Again, that's actuallychristianbooks.com. And order yourself anything from Haunted Cosmos to Sir Battle-Lot and use promo code NERDDOM, that's NERDOM, all caps, and receive 10% off your next order. Thousand Generations Print Company, books for building, books for battling, for 1,000 generations.
I'm Brent, and I'm rebuilding LEGO Star Wars to be the best display and play LEGO models. I enjoy the nostalgia of Star Wars by creating LEGO sets designed for adults but can be handed down to children. I've spent far too much time obsessed with LEGO and Star Wars, and God made me far too creative to let it all go to waste. So I created a YouTube channel, Boffman Bricks, to share what I'm building.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Before we start, Jordan, I am going to pose some Would You Rathers, Star Wars edition, of course, and I'd like to hear your answers. These aren't necessarily Skeleton Crew specific, more Star Wars generally, but here's my first Would You Rather. Okay. Would you rather be Jabba the Hutt's personal masseuse for the rest of your life, or fight the Rancor to the death?
Can I ask some questions about that, or is it just a quick from the hip?
I'm fine with questions. I don't know if I'll have answers, but I'm fine with questions.
Like, do I have a lightsaber? Like, what do I? Or am I just like one of the guys?
You have
dropped
nothing.
In?
You're just like Luke. You got dumped down the chute, and you got nothing.
I'd rather die with dignity than have to be his masseuse. So yeah, fight the Rancor.
I think I'm right there with you. All right.
Yep.
So fighting the Rancor to the death. Okay. Would you rather fight with a lightsaber that's only 6 inches long?
Okay.
Or a blaster that can only shoot one shot every 30 seconds?
I'll take the blaster. Because like I could at least have some, I could run around a little bit if I had to.
Yeah, that's
even though
true.
It's one shot. I mean, 30 seconds. Can I just like keep away for 30 seconds if somebody does get close enough? Yeah, I'll take the blaster. Blaster, one round. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, the single shot blaster. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna pick the lightsaber just to be contrary. Get in there with little knife fight. Surprised we've never seen something like that before. Like
yeah, I mean,
almost like throwing knives. Little lightsaber throwing knives or something.
Well, they introduced like Kylo Ren with his like the hilt.
That's true. The little mini hilt. Yeah.
Darth Maul with the katana blade or lightsaber double blade. So yeah, they could. I could see them innovating.
I mean, we got the lightsaber whips in Acolyte, which actually were in like a novelization of something as well, I guess, before that. But anyway, Okay. Last one. Would you rather talk like Jar Jar Binks for the rest of your life, or not be able to speak at all for the next 10 years?
All right. So the option is not speaking or speaking like an absolute clown. I think people would prefer to hear somebody not speak than me speak as Jar Jar. So yeah, not speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm right there. I think I'm there with you.
Like he sounds so dumb. Like it's so ridiculous that it's like, yeah, best not to talk.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
All
there
right,
you go.
listeners, let us know. I want to hear your answers to these questions as well. Would you rather talk like Jar Jar Binks, be Jabba the Hutt's personal masseuse, fight with a 6-inch lightsaber? All very pertinent questions. These are
Yeah.
This is the important stuff here.
Yep.
All right. I had a quick little question about I had paid very little attention this entire series thus far with the music. I don't know if it's something you have even really been paying attention to either, but for whatever reason, when I turned on this week's episode, I paid a lot of attention to the opening score.
Yep.
Like when the title card comes up, and kind of like it.
Yeah.
Like I know, it hasn't been anything, like I said, it's been in the background enough that it's never really stuck out to me, like anything that's happened during any of the episodes, other than that little glimpse of the like Jedi theme when Jod first appears in episode 2. Other than that, it's just been like, whatever, fine. But I really like that opening title score. So I just want to I just found this on Wikipedia, but it says that the guy who's doing the music is Mick Giacchino. So he's doing the composition, and his father, Michael Giacchino, composed the score for Rogue One, and also worked with Watts, who's one of the writers here, on the Spider-Man films. So a little bit of kind of, I don't know, nepotism. I don't know what's going on there, but
he's good. So
yeah,
that's all right.
yeah, it seems to be fine. So he said this. He says that Mick wanted the main theme for Skeleton Crew to capture that feeling of being a kid, looking out at the twin suns and knowing that there's an adventure out there waiting for you. Consists of a simple chord sequence arranged for harps and synths to create this kind of whimsical floating feeling. And I think he captured it. Like I think that's exactly the feeling I get when that opening little harpsichord thing comes on there in the title screen. But do you have any thoughts at all, music wise, about on the series thus far?
I mean, it hasn't really stood out to me that it's much different from anything else, but I think the music for Star Wars has always been good. And so like even in not great Star Wars, like the music is still good. And I think that's because it's built on a foundation of like John Williams. Yeah. And like building the sounds, like the iconic sounds of Star Wars. And it just, because you hear those even in like newer episodes now where it has those little patterns and stuff that are obviously Star Wars
flavor.
Yeah. And it's like, but it's a little bit different. It might be in like different tone or frequency, whatever.
Yeah. I think probably the one that's been the most out of place is actually the Mandalorian. It was like really different. But I actually don't mind that one either.
Yeah.
Like I'm a fan. So
yeah, I mean, like now that you say that about the intro, I'll probably go back and listen and think more about it. I hadn't really thought about it, but I've enjoyed the music. Like I've had no complaints with it, but I'll give that a little bit more thought.
Cool. All right. So we're going to do what we normally do, go through some positives, some negatives, just some general talking points, Easter eggs, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to start with positives. And I would like to start with the clear number one positive, the best thing that's happened to the Skeleton Crew thus far, which is an official reference to Bilge Rats in the show.
I made note of that right away.
I don't know if you got that.
I did. Oh yeah. I was like, well, there you go, Ben. Your whole rating system is mildly relevant to this whole thing now. Yeah. You profit you.
All right.
Yeah. I thought that was funny. Yeah.
What do you got? What did you like about this one?
I mean, I liked it. It's a lot shorter, like you already mentioned, but it's definitely an episode that is setting up what will be, I think, a pretty heavy hitting 2-episode finale of the show. Like everybody is now, it's like, okay, pirates are on their way to Ad-Atten, the kids are on their way to Ad-Atten, everybody's going to Ad-Atten. This episode, I think, did a really good job of just kind of even teeing up what they're going to get there or what they're expecting there. And that's where, but there's still the mystery there of who is the supervisor. And Tack Renid, like, is it him? And so I still like that they've still kind of kept that a bit of an open question. But yeah, I thought the kids did a really great job in this episode. Like the actors, I thought they actually did a really good job of acting in this. Like it was heavily on them. And I thought they were good. There was just a lot of stuff here that we got a little bit more information on KB, and it's like, okay, so there was some accident, I think was maybe mentioned in one of the previous episodes, and her mom's had said.
Well, I think this episode she revealed that she was in an accident.
Okay, was this episode?
What we knew before was just that she had a life monitor on her, that her moms weren't able to like have, like they lost their connection to it or whatever.
Right.
They could.
Okay. So it's there's something obviously like cyborg about her. Like there's something there.
I think did you watch Book of Boba Fett?
I did. I honestly don't know if I finished it. I watched like the first part of it at least.
Yeah, so I mean, like basically I'm assuming that it's the same sort of technology as like the mods, the Vespa driving kids, like, and that's how they saved Fennec Shand when she got the hole in her stomach.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So I think it's like that same kind of like they call it her augs, like I assume like augmentations or whatever. Yeah. So I assume it's that same general idea of technology.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that was we got more there, which was good. I thought Jod's whole thing with the with Brutus on the in their kind of like space layer wherever they are.
Yeah.
I like that whole scene because I mean he just keeps weaseling his way out of situations. Like
I think that's one of the best parts about Jod is just he almost just like keeps getting better and better at it every episode of just talking his way into and out of every situation.
Yeah, like he just always lives to die another day, it seems. And so one of the things that is interesting, and I heard somebody mention this because I watched some YouTube videos after, just like other people's reactions, just because I thought there was a lot of stuff that was interesting. But somebody was mentioning how it's interesting how with the pirates, he never uses his force abilities.
Yeah, that's true.
And because like he could have gotten out of the prison cell, but then that would have probably outed him as having some abilities, and he didn't seem to want to draw any attention to that.
That's true.
When the kids came, then all of a sudden it's like, well, they broke him out, so he didn't have to. He didn't actually have to use those. And then even still, when he's there, he didn't try to force pull a key or something to unlock the shackles, or he could force pull the lightsaber to himself and just like started murking everybody. He didn't. So I think it's kind of interesting there. But
yeah, did I just miss it, or like where'd the lightsaber go? Did they actually like show it getting taken away from him or anything?
I guess I'm just assuming that they would have taken it.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know if there was like an actual moment where we saw
he had it
losing
on
the
him.
lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm assuming he had it on him when he left the lair.
Well, yeah, because the ending scene of the last episode is him turning it on, right? So and then there's like some fun piratey things in there too, which the like little pirate shanty that he sang, like the Tack Renid song. Yeah, that was great. Yeah,
which I thought was really cool. And then even like you'd mentioned earlier, the walk the plank is actually what was it? What did they say?
Like send him out the airlock.
Yeah. So I thought there was just like little. Again, I just love like all the little pirate cues and stuff that they have scattered throughout.
So the more that I've thought about it after episode 5. With like the fuzzy, you can't really see Tack Renid thing. Like I'm 90% sure that it's going to be revealed to be, what's his name? Is it Jeffrey Rush, who's Barbossa? Like that
Oh, wow.
that it's just him. Like,
You know what? I could absolutely see that, but just being like an alien,
yeah,
right? But just like be the actor. Just that, I would actually at this point, right when you say that, I'd be surprised if it's not him.
yeah.
As long as he's alive and the like all the pirate
he is,
callbacks.
Yeah.
Because even in Pirates of the Caribbean, they had a scene with like the crabs or something with Jack Sparrow following the crabs or something. Isn't there something in one of the Pirates movies? I feel like there was that.
I mean, now
that's
that
a
you
nod.
mention it, maybe I barely remember anything other than the first one of those.
Okay,
but-
I can't remember. I'm pretty sure there's something about following the crabs or that's kind of a nod to that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so that I think that would be amazing if they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, like
just like full pirate. Just
we are at the question though of like if this was a long time ago, if the Onyx Cinder is a old Republic ship, and this is something that happened a long time ago, and he died on, or if he had a normal lifespan. Again, like what is a normal lifespan in Star Wars? I don't know, but
yeah.
is it actually going to be tack rented? Is he still alive, or are we just dealing with, people who his progeny or the people he like
Or is it
discipled
or is it his concubine?
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So
Yeah, I mean, like it again, they've just been so vague and kind of cagey about the timeline. I'm just like, I honestly don't know if this is like 20 years or 1,000 years.
So I heard and I forget the YouTube channel, so apologies to if I doubt they care if we shouted them out anyways. But there was somebody who I watched and they brought up something that is really interesting and potentially significant in just like Star Wars lore in general, as like just big picture, is the mentioning of the intergalactic banking.
The
cartel.
banking clan that's at the
that's
planet
right.
having their conference or whatever.
Yes, and so like that's actually in Star Wars. So I had to look this up. I'm not enough of a Star Wars fan to just know this, but I looked that up, and apparently that intergalactic banking clan is who funded a lot of the war, like the Clone War, but with the Separatists and the Republic, and like they were the ones funding that. So then it seems like that's a bit too coincidental that they would just be mentioned and on the planet that they potentially knew.
That used to be Tack Rened's
like his lair, where they may have known that there were riches there. But then just it so happens that Tack Rened now has access, or would have had access to, the Republic Mint, printing off all these old Republic credits. So it's like,
right.
That actually sounds an awful lot like, are we now seeing where the Separatists, where they were funded? Just in like,
I see what you mean. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, is that what they're doing? Is that like part of the significance of this story, and not just like a fun pirate tale,
So
but it's actually showing how they funded this whole separatism thing, and how Darth Sidious and Palpatine, like, was he working with this Tack Rened way back in order to like fund these things? I don't know how that works in the timeline, but I just thought it was an interesting observation.
Well, interesting thing too is that banking clan, the species that they are, or the whatever you want to call it, it's the same as Darth Plagueis. So do with that what you will. I honestly though, I think with this show, I truly believe that there's essentially nothing that matters, or like nothing of significance to the greater Star Wars story, which is totally fine. I mean, like, we're gonna speculate and have fun with all of it regardless until it's done and we know for sure. But like, I'd be surprised. Like, I feel like they intentionally went in with just like, let's tell a story in the Star Wars universe, but just with no connection whatsoever to anything. That's
and I'd be okay.
Guess.
I'd be okay either way, because I think they've done a good job where this is just a fun story, like just tell a pirate story with kids in Star Wars and just let it be that, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I think though the fact that they're talking about Old Republic credits, I think this is something bigger than that, and like a potentially like High Republic lightsaber that he finds, and it just seems like those are things that are bigger than just this. But again, you might be right. But
Yeah.
it's just interesting that the High Republic or the Old Republic credits. And why would you mention the banking clan? I don't know. Maybe maybe it's just a little nod to pure, like, people who really know Star Wars canon, and it's just like, hey, we see you,
which
like,
they've done it in some of the past episodes too, right? Like I think like they've done a good job of like making sure that we know that we're grounded in the Star Wars universe just by like putting these little Easter eggs, or what, maybe Easter eggs not the right word, but just like reminding you that this is where we're at. We're in the galaxy far, far away. So that very well could be all it is. But I thought this episode was, so I haven't shown my kids any of them yet. Again, I just don't trust Disney enough, so I'm waiting until the whole thing is over before I let them get invested. But I feel like if and when we do watch it, I feel like this might be their favorite episode. Like
Why do you think
me,
that?
for an adult, like whatever, it's fine. I enjoyed it, but like I feel like the kids, this is the one where, the kids, they have their little spat, and then they make up with each other, and they put everything all together, and they all kind of like find their niche on the team, and they become this like formidable team that can pilot the ship. And so it's just like that, like culmination of the last 5 episodes of them kind of being useless and relying on Jod, relying on SM-33, and now they're like, we got to do it ourselves, and they figure it out. And like, I feel like as a kid watching, that'd be pretty fun.
I'm starting to doubt whether they're actually going to redeem Wim and make him not just completely useless and pathetic, because even on this one where it's just like, hey, these little trash
like,
crap.
Man, I'm so bad at figuring out who the good guys are.
Like, and maybe that was like that offhand, that comment was them teeing up that he's going to make a good decision.
Yeah.
But it's just funny how it's like, oh man, you just can't make a good decision. You're useless, man. Like, but I thought that was
so true. Yeah.
One thing that I love that they are doing with this is the use of practical effects.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you noticed that, like, giant crab mom who came to like eat the kids, definitely was stop motion.
Yeah, no, 100% it was. I watched the little, Disney put out like a little 3-minute clip on like how they did a bunch of the creatures and stuff, and I did see that was stop animation, which is crazy.
I don't know if you knew this, but the guy who did it is the same guy who did it with the Rancor in Return of the Jedi.
Oh, really? No, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Phil, I looked it up, and it's stop motion animator Phil Tippett.
Jeepers.
And so he came back for this because it had just that obvious stop motion feel to it.
Yeah,
which I thought right away. I was like, oh, you guys, you're just knocking it out of the park. This is incredible. Yeah. And there was I don't know if it was in the same video that you would have watched where they were talking about Neil and how they actually have a team of like animatronics.
There's like one guy for the eyes and one guy for the ears, and it's very cool. Yeah,
like in there, I just love it because the old
looks
Star
really
Wars,
good.
It looks great, and even in just like the background. So, like when Jod comes up from the grate, and it's just like the staff of the resort, and there's just like
bunch
some
of aliens. Yeah,
and they're obviously just wearing masks, and that's cool. Like that's. Like, it's not some CG stuff. It was just, I love that they're doing that.
I mean, the cheesy Mos Eisley Cantina alien masks are just like, that's your first introduction when you watch Star Wars to like, okay, this is what aliens look like in a galaxy far, far away. Yeah. And then it just got further and further and further away from that. And then now they're bringing it back, and I love it. I think it's way better. Way better.
Yep. No, I think it's...
Like, I think Brutus, like, for as cheesy as Brutus looks, like, I don't care.
No.
I would way rather have that than just some CGI crap.
Yep.
Yeah. So did you watch Moana with your kids?
I have. Yep.
Is
seen
that
quite a few times.
Is this crab not just the shiny crab from Moana? Like, Yeah, anyway.
I hadn't even thought of that, but yes, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, I instantly instantly got those vibes.
Yeah.
I only had there's another big positive I want to talk about, but I think we're just probably gonna like end the show with that one. So I'm gonna just skip down. I only had one negative.
Yep.
For this episode, and again, it's like it's totally nitpicking, but it's just in a bit of the writing for the reasoning for the kids to have their spat. I didn't really understand it. Like it just seemed really contrived. Yeah, like Fern and KB. Yeah. I was just like, what? I just didn't even know what was happening.
I guess it seemed like there was some sort of a like ableist kind of thing going on there, if you know what I mean by ableist. Somebody who is,
kind of, yeah.
Right? And it's like, but is that really a thing? Like, and so that's why I was confused by that as well, where it's like, I do know they're trying to bring that into more modern storytelling and not just like, that's why you're seeing characters in wheelchairs and people who are talking about their disabilities and stuff. So I'm guessing that's what that was. And it's just, but there wasn't like, we don't know of the history between Fern and KB. So there almost seemed like there was an assumed thing there where Fern like mistreated her or just took her for granted or didn't
assumed you can do everything that I can, that she can do. And I don't know. But then like she even when it happened at first, she was like, KB, tell me what's wrong. And she was just like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just, I just thought it was bad that KB we had to then have further exposition of KB telling Wim about why they fought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, cause basically that conversation was there to tell us.
Yeah.
I'm like, shouldn't you have just made the fight obvious enough for us to understand what it was about in the first place? I don't know. That was just me picking nits, but
the one thing I didn't love was, and that maybe this is just us being nitpicky, but it doesn't seem like the whole acid thing in the last episode really did much to
now that you bring that up, I did notice that. It was just like, who was in there?
Yeah. Because I mean, Urkel was, still strong.
Like he was right there behind them,
and that's where. So I don't know what that was about. If it just doesn't really seem like there was actually much consequence there. So that was one thing that stood out to me. But not much. Again, it was a short episode. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was very short. It was kind of like episode 2, where I was like, it was good. It was just like left you wanting a little bit more.
I wonder if this is this type of episode is like a consequence of the weekly drops, because nobody would care at all if they could just go to the next episode. They would understand that, this is just setting this up. Cool, let's move on. Yeah. But now it's like, we have this. We have to wait another week before we get the next episode.
I think. So, I mean, 100%. Like, I don't think there's any argument about that. But I don't think they'd have it any other way, though. Like, I don't think we're ever going to see Disney Plus drop a full season of anything.
I don't think any. I mean, even with what is it, like Cobra Kai? They are dropping it, but in like batches of episodes.
Yeah,
and I think
enough to get you to subscribe for at least that second month.
That's right. Yeah,
right? Like that's the whole point.
Because like Netflix did that. I didn't watch it, but I watched the first season of like Arcane. I don't know if you watched Arcane.
I haven't, but I know
the League of Legends show.
Yeah.
Animation was great. The story just got ridiculous. But,
I heard it got really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'd say probably borderline inappropriate for people to watch. But like they did the same thing where it's like, you can watch the first batch here. Okay. Then at this date, you're going to watch the next batch. And I mean, either one. I like the week by week thing. I really do. It makes this possible. Too. And like even as we're finding with like people on our Discord, like we're now chatting about it. There's there's people watching it. So now we have theories, and it makes it more fun.
That's it. Like it'd be one thing if I don't know if it was a different kind of thing. I don't know if it was like a historical fiction or like, I just feel like there could be certain types of content that I would really not want a weekly drop. But anything that's like this, where you can theorize and you can, zoom in and nitpick and do all, like you kind of want the weekly drop. You want to give it time to simmer and figure stuff out and have the buzz. And like, I think is way more fun. Makes sense.
Yeah.
The only little Easter egg, I didn't have a lot of kind of like past Star Wars Easter eggs to pull from this episode. And I didn't actually do any like looking around online or anything. So the only one that came to me while I was watching was the chutes that they dropped down in at the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Like we're a combination of the things that they slide down in the Goonies and the Cloud City chutes that Luke goes down after he gets his hand cut off. Other than that, I just didn't really have any good Easter eggs.
I mean, like the trash compactor monster had kind of somewhat vibes of when they were in the garbage.
Yeah, I guess a little bit. I mean,
it
gave me more vibes of Toy Story 3 than it did anything else. But
yeah, well, I did see somebody mention the trash chute thing was probably what's her name? Bryce Dallas Howard. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
A shout out to her dad who did the Grinch, and I guess in the Grinch, like the
real, like the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah. And so like he was the one who directed that, Ron Howard.
Yeah.
So like they're saying that it might just be like a bit of an homage to her dad as well.
Yeah,
so
could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
So
yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna move us if you don't have anything else to mention.
I think it's good. I had no major complaints. Still enjoying it. Still happy to watch it. I was actually very excited, which is just like has been rare in the last few years. Again, like I know we keep praising the show, and it's a shame that it seems like not a ton of people are actually watching it, which is actually disappointing because it's like, guys, they actually made a good show that's worth watching.
Yeah,
and so many people just checked out that they're not, which that just sucks.
Can't blame them, but it's unfortunate.
I mean, if we weren't doing this, I don't know if I would have started watching it. But
I probably would have waited till it was just all dropped.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have rushed, but like we wanted to do this, so it's like, yeah, let's do it. And but
I'm glad I did. Yeah,
definitely.
Yep. So a couple days before this episode dropped, you sent me a picture of the Onyx Cinder Lego set.
Yes, I did.
And which prompted me to say, you know what, that's something we haven't really talked about on the show. We should just take do a little segment on what we think of, the main ship of this show. And then, lo and behold, here we are with the big reveal this week for the Onyx Cinder. So, Jordan, what? Let me break this down into two different questions. What was your opinion of the Onyx Cinder before this episode, or before the last 5 minutes of this episode? And then what are your thoughts now that we've had the big reveal of what was it? The hull demolition button.
The emergency hull demolition sequencer.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah. I wasn't like overly blown away with it before, like just the actual design of the ship. When you look at, and the only reason I say this, like I've looked at, just because I've been more into Lego, like looking into Star Wars Lego the last couple weeks, and there's some really awesome Star Wars ships that like this design, the aesthetics, and like you obviously have the Millennium Falcon, which is just the most iconic ship, maybe next to the Enterprise. I mean, I feel like you could have a debate over which is the most, probably Star Wars. Like, it's Millennium Falcon is probably the most iconic spaceship. So it was fine. I actually really like that new ship that came out of it. It looks like just sleeker, faster. But yeah, I hadn't thought too deeply about the ship itself, but it looked cool. I honestly was wondering if they might, now watching like all the pirate kind of illusions or imagery and things like that, I thought maybe they would make it look more like an actual pirate ship than they did. So I'd be interested to hear why they didn't try to just like at least make it somewhat appear more like a pirate ship, because I thought that could have been fun. But I'd say like generally I was just kind of, it didn't blow me away. It would not be in my top 5 not that I could probably list off the top 5, but if I had them in front of me, I don't think it would make my top 5 Star Wars ships.
So, before this episode, I was ready to come in like super down on the Onyx Cinder. Like, I just thought it was the most boring, generic looking, like couldn't pick it out of a lineup of ships kind of ship. I just thought the design was ridiculous.
Yeah, the Lego set is really boring.
Yeah, it just literally looks like like the Millennium Falcon is supposed to be a hunk of junk, but it's like a super cool looking hunk of junk.
Oh yeah,
this thing literally just looks like a hunk of junk.
I would never.
But now I understand why. It's because it's literally just armor plate wrapped, around this actual cool looking ship. Yeah. The only thing I did like about it was the rotating engine thing. Like I thought that was a neat design. But other than that, I just thought it was terrible. But now I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm 99% sure it's not the case. But somebody looking at you, Boffman Bricks, needs to make the set like the Onyx Cinder set where the new ship actually comes out of like the armor plated shell.
Oh dear. That's the
just saying.
Because I'm looking at it right now on the site, and it doesn't look like much.
Yeah.
It just looks like a rectangle with just like the jets on the 4 corners.
Yeah.
And it's just like $180. It's like, no, hard pass. There's just no way.
You're gonna have a hard time ever. That's not gonna be a big seller, I don't think.
No, but I mean, you might get it if they do get the kids. I think that's probably where you're gonna maybe see how popular this is. If the kids is like, if this sells a lot, like if this set actually, because like, and you know what, I'm wondering how. The only reason I'm maybe even thinking about buying it at some point is like the resale value of like having a Neil Lego.
It's the miniature. Yeah.
Because like if you have all of their minifigs, like this is probably the only set that is going to have these. And so it might actually, as Lego is just incredibly valuable and actually does increase significantly in value.
Like gold.
Oh man. Some of it's like 10x in like a few years. It's crazy how some of it goes. But that'll be interesting to see how if they have other like toy figures and stuff like that, if those things are selling. So if we see them, I mean, I guess maybe in a couple months, let's go to Walmart and just like take a look and see what's in the Star Wars section. And if it's these kids, and then I think that might be an indication for how popular it might be.
That's true. I mean, all that stuff is lined up so far in advance though. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to our ratings then. I'll give us a quick recap of how we rated the previous episodes so we can rate this one appropriately. But started with episode 1. We gave that one a combined total of 26 out of 33 Bilge Rats in SM33's face. Episode 2 came in slightly less at 24. Episode 3 at 25. Episode 4 was our big disappointment at 18, and then we had a big jump up. We really enjoyed episode 5 at 28 out of 33 Bilge Rats. So, Jordan, now that was our average. Yours were, slightly different than that, but generally around there.
So what did I rate episode 2?
2, you gave a 23.
Yep, and then last episode 5,
you gave a 29.
23 and 29.
Yeah.
I would give this then I would give it a 23 as well with episode 2. I would say it was is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah, with episode 2.
Yeah. So I was happy with it. I thought episode 1 was better. I really liked the previous episode, wasn't as good as that. So I would say it was still good. So 23.
Yep. I was thinking the exact same thing. So I gave episode 2 a 24, and I was going to give this one I viewed it like very, very similarly to how I viewed episode 2. So there you go. Sorry. I lied. You gave episode 2 a 25. I gave episode 2 a 23. The average was 24.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was going to give it a 23. I don't know if you want to change your rating.
I would be fine giving it just that average of 24.
All right, so that gets us our 24. Yeah, because that's I just viewed it. Yeah, I was just going to give it whatever I gave episode 2 because I looked at it pretty much the same.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is going to conclude our after show of episode 6 of Star Wars Skeleton Crew. Don't forget to sign up for our Patreon. That gives you access to our Discord channel where some of these conversations are happening about the show. And we are actually hoping to, not next week for episode 7, but for the final episode, episode 8, we are hoping to do a live watch through on the Discord, a live chat while the episode is happening. So if you would like to get in on that before episode 8 drops, you make sure that you head on over to Patreon and sign up. I think even our lowest tier gives you access to the Discord channel. So it gives you access to that live chat while we're watching the finale of Skeleton Crew. So Jordan, any other comments or anything you want to say before we sign out?
Nope. I'm good.
Wonderful. All right, everybody. See you next week. May the Force be with you.